Well, hey there. Welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. If you're a subscriber returning for more, yay! I'm so glad. Thank you so much for all of your support. I truly appreciate it. And if you're brand new to my channel, yay! I'm so glad you're here. I hope you like what you see. My goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision as to whether or not you want to spend time or money or both watching a specific movie. So the movie I'm reviewing today is called The Flash. The newest addition to the DC Comics universe hits theaters on June 16th, 2023. This movie is rated PG-13 and is 2 hours and 24 minutes long. That's pretty long. But is it worth it? My movie review mom grade is, drum roll, an A. I really enjoyed it. But keep watching because I'm going to point out things I liked and didn't like and give you the heads up on some content, especially tips for parents. I'll give you an overview in a nutshell and I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, funny lines, and recommendations for other movies that you might want to watch before you watch this one because they're connected. I'll tell you about that in just a minute, but let's dive in. In a nutshell, the story is about Barry Allen, who uses his super speed to change the past, but his attempt to save his family creates a world with unintended consequences that ripple into other worlds of the metaverse. The film was directed by Andy Muschietti. Writing credits go to Christina Hodson and Joby Harold. Yep, it's another metaverse movie. It appears that's kind of what DC Comics is doing all of the time nowadays. It's actually the 13th movie in the DC universe with a soft reboot of the DC franchise led by James Gunn. Any other films outside this new timeline are going to be called DC Elseworlds, which I think is kind of interesting. So are you still thinking that all of this metaverse hype is still fun? Or are you kind of starting to grow tired of it? Comment down below. I'm super curious. All right, so let me tell you about some of the things I really liked about the movie. First of all, I got to attend a press screening with an audience that was ready for a good time. It was packed. Within 1 minute, the audience was laughing. Nice. That always makes it so much fun when the audience really enjoys the movie and you can hear that excited buzz in their comments. There was also destruction and tons of action within minutes. So that's a good way to start a superhero action movie, right? Ezra Miller did a fantastic job playing two characters, the Flash and Barry Allen, or I might even say three characters. It's all the same guy. He gives us 2 or 3-in-1 characters to root for and shows us varying levels of maturity with entertaining nuances. He plays the young Barry, the today Barry, and the Flash. I also absolutely loved Michael Keaton as one of the Batmen coming back from previous Batman movie. So I loved that they brought him back for this. I thought it was really clever how they addressed how there could be so many different Batman in our world by utilizing the metaverse conveniently. This movie ignores the story in the 1995 Batman Forever, as well as the 1997 Batman and Robin, to have the 1992 Batman Returns movie make more sense and to fit Michael Keaton's storyline. And I didn't mind any of that. Michael Keaton is now officially the oldest actor ever to play a live action Batman. Now, that's not to say he's currently 71 years old, and the Adam West was actually 88 years old, but he did a voice animation of the 2017 Batman versus Two-Face. Ben Affleck hasn't been my favorite Batman. I like him, but I thought he did a really good job in this one. I loved the ending of the movie that left us all hanging as to who will be the next Batman in this universe. Ben Affleck had some issues with the Justice League movie, but revealed in a recent interview that he really enjoyed his role in this movie, as short as it was. And it was pretty short, only in a few scenes. The audience that I watched the movie with absolutely loved the montage of Superman actors, especially when Nicolas Cage appeared as Superman. He actually was going to be cast in the role as Superman in a movie many years ago, but it just didn't work out for various reasons. So it was hilarious. Michael Shannon plays a bad guy, and he always does such a great job as the evil villain. His clear mask on his space uniform, I thought, was pretty cool and also really helpful because sometimes people are wearing helmets and then they take them off so you see who the actor is or the character is who's talking, but in reality they wouldn't take off the helmet. So I thought that solved the problem very nicely. There are some super amusing sound effects. Now, while this movie isn't exactly an origin story of the Flash, we get to learn a lot more about him, his past, and his motivations. Sasha Calle is the first Latina to play Supergirl. So congrats, Sasha. Others in the cast include Kiersey Clemens, Ron Livingston, Ian Lowe, Saoirse Monica Jack, and on and on. Actually, everyone did an excellent job. The movie was shot entirely with IMAX cameras by Henry Braham. The only other DC movie to do that was the 2021 movie, The Suicide Squad. There's some really great special effects. However, I've got a comment about that in the list of things I didn't like coming up. So I always love the Flash's slow motion sequences. So I was kind of surprised when the guy I sat next to leaned over to me and said that he thought it lasted too long. And I didn't know this guy. We just kind of started a conversation as we were waiting for the movie to start. And I got a real kick out of him. I was really curious to see what he was going to think of the movie. And so when that happened, he leaned over and he was like, that needs to end now. It's too long. Whereas I was actually enjoying it. I loved the very last scene. What a great cliffhanger. I'm not going to tell you anything else. No spoilers. The big bad spaceship that's kind of featured in the movie looked just like a beetle, like a scarab beetle. And I thought that was actually kind of a cool design. Some people might think it's not very creative, but I liked it. There were also some designs for weapons that I thought were pretty cool. Some of them are pretty standard, but all in all, I really enjoyed it. Now, with that great praise, there were some things I didn't like or just thought could have been done better. For example, I just laugh because Gotham City is always falling apart. And it is still. Now, if you get vertigo, as I often do, be warned that there will be a few scenes that will make you a little bit dizzy. They're mostly at the beginning of the movie. And I was really worried that the whole movie was going to be like that with spinning and, all of that stuff. It kind of made me dizzy just doing that. But it wasn't. It was just mostly at the very beginning of the movie. So that's good. And it's bad in the sense that I just realized I'm getting so old. I'm like an old person who gets dizzy. I hate that. So another thing is I wanted to hear the audience reaction throughout the film. That's half of the fun of watching a movie in the theater. Sometimes studios will send me press screenings as a virtual link where I click and I can watch it on my computer. I have big computer monitors, but still there's no substitute for an incredible theater filled with lots of people and that buttery popcorn smell and the energy in the room. But the movie is really loud during much of the movie. And so it kind of drowned out a lot of the noises from the audience or the comments that they were going to make. And so I was really looking at the people sitting in my row to see how they reacted physically because I couldn't necessarily hear them. Some viewers might complain about the unnecessarily long length of the movie, but it just kind of seems like DC and Marvel are so in love with their movies that they just can't bear to edit any scenes out. So we get really long movies. Now for super fans, it's great because they just can't get enough. But for someone who maybe not be a huge, big comic book fan, they may go, Really, this movie is still going. For me, it went by pretty quickly, I thought. And as the movie progressed, I was like, wow, we've covered a lot of territory in this movie because it is so long. And then another little thing that I just laughed at was the makeup department had everybody bleeding from the same side of their mouth with the same fake makeup, which just made me laugh. Rather than putting it in different places, it was always in the same spot. Whatever. So here are some tips for parents since kids are probably going to be interested. Now, be forewarned, it is PG-13. So because of that, there are a few conversations about intimate relations and a surprisingly high number of crude words. Come on, Hollywood. And in fact, this guy sitting next to me was a father of 4 kids. And he kept looking at me like, I can't believe they just said that, which I agree with because kids are going to want to see this. And I kind of felt like, I guess long gone are the days where superhero movies were very family friendly and a safe movie to take kids to, but that's not necessarily true anymore. There is a lot of adult humor that's inappropriate for kids. There is some profanity in English and some of the Spanish that's spoken, including one F-bomb. Now, you're allowed to have two in a PG-13 movie. So, they fall within the requirements or within the parameter, but still, I'm like, it's not necessary. However, it's the last line in the movie, and it did make me laugh out loud. Now, there's also talk of a death of a parent. We see people get hurt, sometimes with blood, usually on that same side of the mouth, which made me laugh. We see a naked guy, but no private parts. He's covering his private parts with pots and other items, which made the audience laugh, but still you see all the other skin on the body. We also see a guy, different guy in his underwear. And I'm like, let's not zoom in. And it was kind of zoomed in a little bit. I'm like, someone throws up a lot and it's gross because you see it and you hear it and all of that. There's lots of violence. It's a superhero movie, lots of various weapons, lots of explosions, lots of destruction, high dead body count, mostly nameless, characters. They're just people dying, just so you can see lots of people dying, basically. It's a superhero movie. All right, so some of the themes that are illustrated very well are fate, choices, consequences of our choices, and accountability of our choices. I think those are fantastic themes, especially for kids growing up, to know there are repercussions to our choices. Our choices affect other people. And we often don't see that in movies. We see the idea, my choice, my body, my choice, my life, my choice, doesn't matter, duty doesn't matter, respect doesn't matter, responsibility doesn't matter. It's all about me and what I want. And maybe it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but that's been a message that's been in movies for a good 10 years at least. And I worry that this younger generation really buys into that, and they don't care that there are consequences to themselves or others. And so I liked that messaging. Other themes are the butterfly effect, if you're into that, which is kind of a cool concept, consequences, criminal forensics, space-time continuum, of course. I think people are fascinated with the metaverse. However, I worry that there are so many metaverse movies coming out that we're going to get a little metaverse fatigue. We'll see. Family, protecting loved ones, and accepting the past. That's probably one of the biggest ones. All right, so whenever I watch movies, I'm writing notes about funny lines and interesting lines because I want to share them with you. And so I'm in the theater in the dark, writing, and I'm just kind of writing and using my hands to kind of feel where I am on the paper. And so when I get home and I look at my notes, I'm like, yikes, I don't even know what I wrote there. So I have all of my lines written on the Movie Review Mom website, so you can see them all there. But I'll share a couple of them with you right now, or maybe more than a couple. So one of the funny lines is spoken by Michael Keaton, who plays Batman, Bruce Wayne. I just love him. I love him in every movie that he does, honestly. But anyway, when he finally embraces this Batman persona, he's like, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. And I laughed because it's a funny line, but I also laughed because I had a feeling that the studio wanted this to be a memorable line that's going to make everybody repeat it over and over again. I don't know that it quite falls in that category, but it was just cute for his personality and character. I was just about ready to tell you another funny line, but then I realized it includes a little spoiler. So I'm not going to tell you, but if you're dying to see it, then you can go over to my website. But so here's some other lines that I thought were interesting. This one's spoken by the Flash, played by Ezra Miller, and he says, "It's not what I believe, it's what the truth is." And I thought that was an interesting line because everybody's debating what is truth and is there absolute truth anymore, right? And in movies, so much messaging lately has been, I'm living my truth, whether it's absolute truth or just my perception, doesn't matter, and I believe in absolute truth. Now, I also believe there are a lot of things we don't know what the truth is, as we're discovering science or religion or a combination or whatever. Anyway, so I just thought that was another interesting line. So another interesting line was when Batman, also played by Michael Keaton, says, "Time isn't linear." And again, so many of these metaverse movies are causing us to think multidimensionally, which I think is super interesting. And by the way, Michael Keaton is not the only Batman we see in this movie, just in case I didn't mention that one. In another moment, Michael Keaton's Batman says, "Don't live your past, live your life." That's a huge theme of the movie and a good one, too, for all of us as a reminder. All right, I'll tell you one more, again, spoken by the Michael Keaton Batman. And he says, as he's talking about the past, Ezra Miller the Flash wants to go back, and he's like, "I can save your parents, I can correct them." And Batman's, shakes his head no, and he says, "That pain made me who I am." And that's really true. If we always wish we could go back and change things from the past, but hopefully we've learned from that past. And there is great depth in understanding and in humanity and in having empathy for others that cannot be learned without going through that pain and that suffering. A lot of people say, "Why is there pain and suffering in the world?" Well, that's one reason, and I think it's a valid one. All right, so before we go, let me give you recommendations for some other movies that I think are great that you should watch, but you might even want to watch them just before you watch this Flash, just to kind of catch up to speed. The first one is Batman Returns with Michael Keaton playing Batman. And again, I mean, that's an older one, but I really liked him as that character. And then if you want to catch up to speed with Ben Affleck playing Batman, because he's the current Batman in the current world of this movie, then check out Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. All right, that's it for my review. Thank you so much for watching this whole review. I know sometimes I get long-winded. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully you're excited to watch this movie. And if you do watch it, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. When you get a minute, run over to Instagram and follow me or subscribe or whatever we call it over there as Movie Review Mom, but also join me as Trina Boice Instagram, which is my author website, where I also have my movie review information, but also stuff about my books and other things that I've got going on. All right, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.